First of all, let me say that I am not in any way affiliated with the Associated Press or any other major organization. I am in no way connected to or paid by anyone in any way associated with the league. The views and opinions expressed in this video are simply those of me and others that I interact with, and they have no real meaning. With that in mind, welcome to another edition of The Fan Perspective, and this is the first ever presentation of the first ever Fan Awards. And today we are talking about Comeback Player of the Year. And while I have to mention that there are other people who fully qualify for it, the race really comes down to two people, so they're the only ones I'm even going to bother talking about, because these are two people who are also both in the MVP category. And so, first we have Peyton Manning, quarterback for the Denver Broncos, drafted first overall in the 1998 draft. He played for the Colts for the first 14 years of his career, and he went to the Pro Bowl 12 times. He won league MVP and NFL record 4 times. He led the Colts to a Super Bowl championship, and in the 2011 offseason, he signed a 5-year, $90 million extension with the Colts. But he ended up having major neck surgery and would miss the entire season, and the Colts would release him in the offseason. He signed with Denver as a free agent and has started every game this season. And after starting 2-3, he ended up leading the Colts to an 11-13 record, including a league-high 11 straight wins to finish out the season. And he finishes the year 6th in the league with 4,659 passing yards and 3rd in the league with 37 passing touchdowns. And then we have Adrian Peterson, running back for the Minnesota Vikings, drafted in the first round of the 2007 draft, 7th overall. Adrian Peterson was signed to a 7-year, $96 million deal last season. But in December, he tore his ACL and his MCL and was immediately placed on injured reserve, and it was unsure how soon he would be able to return to action, much less how effective he would be. But in week 1, he showed up and has 84 rushing yards and 2 touchdowns, and since then the yards have continued to pile up. And at the end of the year, he not only carried the Vikings to the playoffs, but he also became only the 7th player in NFL history with over 2,000 rushing yards. He finishes leading the league with 2,097 rushing yards and tied for 3rd place with 12 rushing touchdowns. He also has 217 receiving yards and a touchdown and has only lost 2 fumbles all season long. And let's be honest, you cannot go wrong choosing either of these players. These are both 2 future Hall of Famers. They are some of the best at their position, and it can be argued that either of these guys is the best of their respective generation. But for me, I'm picking Adrian Peterson, and here are the reasons why. Adrian Peterson, he recovered in 8 months and went on to have the best season of his career. Whereas Peyton Manning, he had an entire year to recover. And then he went on to a new team, but it was a good team that was already in the playoffs last year. Demaryius Thomas had 1,000 yards under Tim Tebow, so you knew he had plenty of talent around him to help him out, support him. That defense definitely made it easier for him, and he looked like the Peyton Manning that we expected. And Adrian Peterson, halfbacks, I have a great respect for halfbacks and what they have to go through. I mean, they start 7 yards behind the line of scrimmage, so they have to run 10 yards to gain 3. So the 2,000 yards that he did gain, he ran for over 3,000. I mean, and the physical pounding that they have to take, I mean, he's been tackled a lot. And not to mention ACL and MCL tears, and all the pressure that he's had to put on his knee, cutting, breaking, digging his foot into the ground to break tackles. I mean, what he has done is superhuman. And like I said, don't get me wrong, I have a lot of respect for Peyton Manning. He is my favorite quarterback. But Adrian Peterson, he literally carried this team to the playoffs. And he just He deserves so much recognition for everything that he was able to accomplish. And so that is the reason why I pick him for this award. And if you think Peyton Manning deserves it, you're correct. He does. Both of them deserve this award. I simply choose Adrian Peterson because, halfbacks do not get enough respect for what they do and everything that their bodies have to go through in order to play well. And he came back much quicker from an injury, from a very devastating injury, to have the best season above his career, performing above all expectations, compared to Peyton Manning, who had an entire season off and then came back and he was just Peyton Manning, the one that we always expect. That's the only reason I'm picking Adrian Peterson. But they are both fantastic players who had amazing seasons. And congratulations to both of them, and much luck to both of them in the playoffs. And in the meantime, I'm your host, Nathan Lau. This has been The Fan Perspective. Tune in tomorrow when I talk about Defensive Player of the Year.